Hi guys, welcome back to Rybrook TV and welcome back to the Range Rover Sport, but with a difference. This is the model year 24 Range Rover Sport P550e. Now, if you're an avid viewer of the channel, you'll know we've featured the Range Rover Sport several times. So why are we doing it again? Well, because I've not driven the top end hybrid version of the Sport yet, and I really wanted to. And well, it's had a few minor changes to really elevate it, to bring it into a new sort of light. It's had a few little refreshes, mainly with the battery and the power, which we'll touch on shortly, which makes it far more attractive, especially on benefit in kind. More on that shortly. For those of you who've already seen our walk-arounds of this car, links will be on the top of the screen, or you can skip this bit to right to the more interesting bits. However, for you, those of you that are new to the channel, hello, welcome. We're going to take a quick look around, a quick refresher on some of the design details of the Range Rover Sport. We'll begin by taking a look at the front. It's very recognisable as a Range Rover Sport. You've got really thin, beautiful LED lights on the front. The grille is very recognisable as a Range Rover. Actually, sat here looking at it from this angle, you'd be forgiven for thinking it's the big Range Rover. But anyway, we've got a slightly different front bumper down here, slightly more aggressive, a lot more angles, a bit more sporty in its makeup. This spec as well is lovely. The black on the sort of darker wheels, which we'll look at in a minute, looks fantastic. I do think it's a very handsome looking thing. I think it's grown a lot in the last however many months it's been out, and I love it. Now, this, in my opinion, you'll probably correct me if I'm wrong, I think is the best looking side profile of any SUV currently on sale. Exclude your Lamborghini Uruses and all that sort of stuff. For a mainstream big SUV, this side profile, especially with the red brake calipers and the glorious alloy wheels, which have got actual carbon fibre in the centre of the spokes, this is the best looking side profile of any SUV on sale today. It looks fantastic. This is how a sports SUV should look. I think it looks fantastic. You've got the flush door handles, which is sort of a Land Rover thing now. They sit really nice to the car when it's locked and then open when it's unlocked. You've got this little vent looking design down here. There's not an overload of lines and creases. It's quite a simplistic design. Some would say there's a lot of metal down here, but I think it's just complemented perfectly with the proportions of this car. I think from the side, it's spectacular. And then we come to the rear, which was the most controversial part of the car when it was first launched. People weren't quite sure on these slimline lights here and the load of metalwork that's actually here. But I think it's growing on people really quickly. It's definitely growing on me. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. But how can you tell this is a P550 and not just the normal diesel? Well, down here you've got the big exhaust pipes, one either side. They give it so much presence. Slightly more aggressive rear diffuser here as well, and it's just a much more aggressive looking thing. A huge rear spoiler on the back of here. There's no split folding tailgate like there is on the big Range Rover, but I don't think you need it really on one of these. I think it's lovely all the way around. This is a cracking spec as well. But let's talk about some of the differences in the drivetrain and the battery, shall we? So what's changed in terms of the drivetrain? Well, we've gone from around 510 horsepower to 550. We've got slightly more battery range as well, which I think is the most important thing with this car. It's now a claimed over 70 miles, 71 miles to be precise. And what that's done is it's meant that this is now only 5% benefit in kind, which means that it is a fantastic option for a business owner, a business user, anybody that wants to get one of these on a business deal. It now means that it's an incredibly affordable thing. You can get a massive Range Rover Sport for not that much money at all on benefit in kind. It's incredible. You can still charge the car here using an AC or a DC rapid charge. DC is actually quite rare to find on a hybrid, which is very impressive. So just to recap, better performance and better range. Can only just get better from there, can't it? But let's just recap of what the interior is like before we go and see what this thing is like out on the road. The interior of the Range Rover Sport is just a beautiful place to be. There's no other way to describe it. Now, the model year 24 differences are that there's now no buttons here at all. Everything is now on the central screen, so there's no air conditioning controls, no terrain response, none of that. It's all now controlled via the PIVI Pro infotainment system, which I think has come on leaps and bounds in the last few years. It's now really responsive, now really easy to use. You've of course got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto available in this car. But yes, love it or hate it, all the controls are now on the screen. So you do your climate control on here using the little buttons, you do your terrain response, you do your different driving modes, obviously your navigation, your media, everything is done through here. We've also got a really beautiful driver's display directly in front of me. It's really crisp, clear, the graphics are fantastic, it almost looks like it hovers on the dashboard. It's really lovely. Steering wheel's exactly the same and everything else is exactly the same. And that's not a bad thing. I love the interior of the Range Rover Sport. It feels like such a beautiful place to sit, really high quality materials in here. Everything is really nice to touch, tactile. We've got Alcantara headlining, we've got the sliding panoramic sunroof in this car, which is just lovely. But everything is high quality. These seats feel like loungers. You've got the armrests here as well, which make it even more comfortable. It's just such a lovely place to sit, and I've always loved the Range Rover Sport, and this latest generation is just spot on for me. If I was going to have an SUV, got to be honest, probably be one of these. It's beautiful in here. But anyway, that's enough of that. If you want to see more in depth of the interior, exterior, all that sort of stuff, please use the link in the top of the screen to check out some of our other videos. But anyway, now let's take this out onto the road and see how it drives. So welcome then to the driver's seat of the Range Rover Sport P550e, and my initial impressions are that it's just a beautiful place to sit. It really is. The Range Rover Sport in this generation I've absolutely adored since the first time I drove it a fair few months ago now. But I've always been intrigued to see what the very top end hybrid version felt like. And well, now I've found out. We've got a 3 litre 6-cylinder petrol engine up front, load of batteries, load more power in the battery system for a combined 550 horsepower or around there. 0 to 62 is dealt with in just under 5 seconds, and well, is that quick enough? Yes, yes it is. This car feels just so sprightly on its feet. The relationship between the petrol engine and the batteries is really nice. The way that it differs between the two is just so seamless. The way the gearbox is integrated as well. It's as you'd expect. It's a beautifully smooth, elegant experience, only with over 500 horsepower to tap as well. It feels just beautiful on the road. I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record because I could pretty much copy and paste my review on the Range Rover Sport when I first drove it to this one. Only this has got more power and it's got the rear wheel steer because it is the top end 550. The rear wheel steer kind of makes it feel even more like the big Range Rover than previously thought. It now feels, to my feeling at least, pretty much 95% the big one. The other thing that we need to touch on, which I've already done, but we need to mention it again, is the battery range and what that does to the benefit in kind on this car. The battery range is now over 70 miles, which in any stretch of the imagination is very, very impressive. But what that does to the benefit in kind is even more impressive still. It drops it to just 5% benefit in kind. So if you're getting one of these on corporate deal or for a company, whatever, it's now an incredibly affordable car. You can have a Range Rover Sport for not that much money. It's pretty incredible, to be honest. Range Rover have really nailed the brief on this car. And when it's driving an electric, it's actually just really lovely. it suits the car really, really well to be driven just on pure electric because it's already incredibly quiet, but now just even more so. It's serene. I love these things. I think the driving position is absolutely spot on. Everything feels incredible quality. It can take off when you need it to and really pick up a lot of speed. And it's not going to break land speed records going around corners. It's not going to. It's a Range Rover at the end of the day. But who cares? It's a lovely place to be. It's a fantastic place to spend time. You could cover continents in this car with ease. Great car. Absolutely great car. Love it. I think it's fantastic. And if you want any more information on the new Range Rover Sport P550e model year 2024, please use the link in the description below to contact your nearest Rybrook Land Rover retailer. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel for plenty more content to come, and I'll see you guys again really soon.